an architect, researcher, director, and founder principal of Niti School of Architecture, Planning and Design, Bengaluru. She has served in various institutions of repute as professor and founder principal and director of Thakur School of Architecture and Planning. She is the regional director of a Center for Education Growth and Research for Karnataka Council Life and Fellow, in addition to National Academic Advisory Council member of CEGR. She is graduated from VNIT Nagpur, Masters from SAP Anna University, MBA in Operations and Supply Chain from NIMB Chennai, and PhD in Architecture and Planning, again from Anna University, Chennai. She is trained in Six Sigma Black Belt from ISL Hyderabad, QMS Lead Auditor from CII Bengaluru. She has Advanced Diploma in Web and E-Com Technology. She worked in multimedia, quality and software development areas in CWL Global and Gates Academy in association with Saint Monica Studio USA, was a part of SFX and VFX for films such as Koi Mil Gaya Devdas and etc. She worked on international projects and multimedia production. Ladies and gentlemen, she has 33 years of experience in architectural education and profession as quality media consultant. And amongst us, may I kindly welcome on stage, keeping it short and crisp, with this wonderful dynamic lady amongst us with so much knowledge and so much wonderful experience. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Professor Dr. Architect Chandran Rekha Jetty, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you, ma'am, and you look beautiful. Over to you, ma'am. And also the time's exactly 1:10 p.m. We are going to be starting our awards and ceremony exactly by 1:30 p.m. That is dot 1:30.
Hello everybody. I would like to thank Dr. Anand Gopal for having given me this opportunity to actually talk to you people. With regards to a very important topic that is going around all over the world, that is about value generation, value architecture, value capturing, value creation, value chain. So far from the morning, I have been hearing quite many speakers, especially talking about the research. Dr. Raja sir has talked about the research, how it should start from when you are a kid. Research is not something that can be actually taught. It has to come. It has to come from before, and it is the duty of the parents to inculcate the habit, a researching habit into it. That can come only by acclimatizing with the environment where they are in. So that is one. And then even Dr. Rajiv Gowda sir talked about NEP 2020. Yeah, there were some fallouts and which is being corrected, and then we are moving on. Now I'll go into the details of this value chain. And value chain encompasses almost everything. And in a nutshell, I'll try to, though it is a very small duration for me to cover up on the entire value chain, I'll try to give the glimpse of what exactly it encompasses of. First of all, let's look at the way our education system previously was. It was about the Gurukul system, and we have changed over to a totally new kind of an education system. And through our NEP, which has happened over the time, it has 1968, 86, 92, 2005, 2016, 2017, and now 2020. So many new policies on education has been implemented over the years. And now let us look at the key principles of the NEP, which is already been told to you. Like, I'm only going to highlight on the factors like community participation, use of technologies, emphasize conceptual understanding, unique capabilities, continuous review, then critical thinking and creativity, respect for diversity and local context, and equity and inclusion. This is the main focus of the entire gamut of the NEP 2020. Now let us look at what is actually value. See, the thing is, we always confuse between the value with cost and price. Cost and price, they are a constant figure which varies over the time. It's a constant. But when you talk of value, we are talking about an intangibility there. The values could be tangible, it could be intangible. Those which are tangible, you can actually see them. That will, just like an iceberg. Those which you don't see, they are very deep into. They are inculcated by our systems all around us. They are inculcated by the way we think at home, whether you are traveling in the bus or in anywhere for that we meet, the kind of association we have. All of that inculcates a kind of value in us. That particular value gets translated in any work that we do. And that is where we talk in terms of EQ, IQ and all that. And what you see, that black box is the major thing. Now there I have written as 4% problem known to HOI. Many of you are HOIs here. You might be under the feeling that, oh, I know everything about my institute. Why is this madam saying so? In reality, institution has lot of issues. So many issues which sitting at the top you cannot see. At the bottom, people will know everything. The driver will know lot of things. The attender will know lot of things. What is happening in the institutes. That's the reason, like, it comes to us in various stages from various places. So now you see that what really happens beneath. There are risks. There are hard work, late night work, struggles, failures. So many gamut of things that are there that happens. Whether it is a project or an academic exercise. Now, first thing we need to understand is when a student comes, all of us are here only about the students. When the student comes to the college, they come from a totally different environment. So many things change for them. Change of college. Then they have this, they are in their adolescent. Education stream changes. They don't know a subject which they would never have studied in their younger ages. Unaware of the subjects and the subject knowledge. Then the new environment, both friendship and the work related, everything changes. Lot of anxiety and apprehension of the future. If this can happen to students who are in the engineering, who studied some of the subjects at least in their school days, what happens to those who never had any of their subjects in their till 12th, but they have to venture into the new subjects? For example, architecture, planning, design, all these have very minuscule things in their schools. Only recently, CBSE brought in some of the things. So now what happens to those branches when they enter for the first time ever into the college? So these are the changes, and as a result, the values that set in at that point in the mind of the student stays up till all the 5 years. As HOD or HOI or as teachers, we need to ensure that that is the time when we set a right set of values to them. Next. Students come in large numbers in various different types. As you can see here, there are so many types of students. And we cannot have one single pattern of teaching to everybody. That is the reason when they do that FCI, Faculty Competitive Index, to be judged by the students. One student says that this teacher does very well. The other, somebody else, says that this teacher does not do well. And then we try to take an average and say that, oh, this is the performance of the teacher. But the thing, it is very essential that we think of a different system there, which I'll be talking about in the later part, where we can ensure that these gaps which are coming up in the entire academic setup, how that can be overcome. In certain subjects, certain programs, it is necessary that the parents have to support. Programs like architecture planning, and because I'm talking of architecture and planning because I come from architecture and planning school. Then we have also design in our campus. So in these fields, you know, the parent support is very, very essential. You look at the kind of parents that are here. There are so many of them. Conscious parenting, very few have. Like baby-led parenting is quite a lot. Parents tend to feel that still my child is a child baby. They try to dictate them. I have one student whose parents say that at 9 o'clock, come what may, you have to switch off the light and sleep. And he is never able to submit any of his submissions in the class. And finally, he stopped coming to the college. We talked to the parents, everything. And then it came to us like, no, it is not even the parent. It is the grandparent. The grandparent has told her daughter, saying that, no, Nanna Mammaga should not stay beyond 9 o'clock. Okay, so these are the different kinds of parents. So it is essential that parents are also told about what's the kind of the value the students have to carry and what is it that they need to learn, academically how they have to develop. Everything has to be told to them. Next. Okay, this is a complete scenario of the various gaps that happens during the course of our academics. Students, soon after their 12th, when they jump into the first year, there's a huge gap. As I told you in the first slide, there's a huge gap. The very understanding, sometimes, you know, there's, because of the university syllabus, we have to start off at a particular start point, assuming that the student knows quite a lot because they have written NATA or for that matter, JEE paper 2 and all these things. But it does not happen. That's a huge gap, and that gap remains throughout their entire, curriculum till the 5th year, unless that is troubleshooted right at the first year. Then that compounds. Then comes the second gap, then the third gap, fourth gap, fifth gap, and finally, when you are actually trying to collaborate with the industry and make them employable, that is when the huge gap comes because industry requires a totally different structure. Yeah, in our institute, we have troubleshooted all this. But the primary aim of my coming here is not to talk just about my institute, but to talk about the issue on ground. So this is the whole issue. Next. And then we expect them to have all kinds of skill. The thing is, like, we never judge them their threshold capabilities. What is their threshold capability? Whether that threshold capability over the time can be raised up and up and up and then made them to do better. We expect right from the first year, okay, this is the marking system. How does this help? Because they are just compared with rest of the classes. So we found out one particular system where we do not tell the students, like, you are better than the other, or we never give first, second, third, fourth, all these things. And our marks get routed through. And another review process where they have a proctor or a mentor or somebody. So the need of a mentor through whom the marks get diverted is extremely essential for the student to feel very comfortable about. Next. Now there can be, two people can think the same thing. And we generally tend to feel that, okay, this person has copied, that person has copied, this is my work or that work. Not necessarily. Dr. Gayatri is my colleague. So many times it has happened that both of us are sitting together and we get exactly the same idea. Can't it strike? It can strike. So those igniting the flame in the brain is most important. And one has to be the foot for the other. That is the only crossway like a DNA strand one can grow. Unless somebody else helps you to regenerate yourself, you can't become a bookworm and go on trying to develop. So the conversation is very essential. So this builds up a continual value. And then you see here is my new invention. Oh, it looks like mine. Just you can have a look at here. This is not an apple, but whereas all of us can see that it is an apple. So the thoughts can be different. That is because of the mind game. And because of the way our right and the left brain works. Now we have a lot of types of intelligence. But not everybody is going to have a sequentialized kind of intelligence usage. Maybe I am very emotional, so my emotional quotient will be very high. She may be very good in IQ, so her intelligence quotient may be high. Somebody else may be spiritual. Jaggi Vasudeva, he'll be very good in spiritual IQ. Then he will be answering most of the questions through spiritual mode. Likewise, you see that adversity intelligence, that is again another one. That comes into play when we see things on the adverse role and how fast we can, that's also called in the medical term reflex action. And you see here, this is a pyramid. In that pyramid, you see SQ is the topmost, then below that is EQ, then you have IQ, below that is PQ, PQ is nothing but, in another word, AQ. Next. Now you look at the way our brain is. When our right brain works, everything is seen through our left eye. And when our left brain works, everything is seen through our right eye. We can easily make out whether the person Y is stuck. In fact, I do this exercise with my students when they are taking up the exam. Some of them, they are stuck and they tend to move their right eye to the left side. So I know that they have an issue on the brain. So you see that right eye is on the left side. Okay, so our right eye moves, and likewise the right brain, when it starts working, then the left eye moves. So this is, and you can see the kind of things that it looks into. Emotional intelligence, social intelligence, holistic thinking, compassion, and we tend to feel that there are some students who will be having this ADH and all these kind of issues. And there you find that, oh, they are not some autism students, they don't have this compassion point. So all that is on the right brain. So we can easily identify that. And then apart from that, the competences are also decided based on that, whether they can take up engineering or take up creative field. And it is necessary for parents to read through their child to understand whether the child is fit for this particular course or not. Every year we find so many students who are not even fit for that program come and join in, and then they say that no, they want to go to engineering. Somebody from the engineering, they take the transfer and come down to our program and say that we want only architecture. And they lose the money that they have paid in the engineering colleges. All this happens because somewhere in the system, we are not able to recognize the students in terms of what their likes and dislikes are, what they are capable of, what is their threshold capability in all these things. And they are all the value judgment. For that, there is no parametric measures. And now education and studentship life cycle. What is that happens? One is on a sense of capability. That is checked by community participation and contribution, task and role clarity, and academic competence. Then we talk about sense of purpose. There we talk about disciplinary engagement, vocational direction, personal development. Then we talk about resourcefulness. Many students, they feel that I'm not so useful. Even in the team, I'm not useful. because their ideas are very different from the team idea. So what you need to look at is university life interfacing, whether they can do, physical environment, whether at home or in the college, systems, access and navigation, whether they are, conversant with lot of systems that we really work with. And then comes a sense of connectedness. Then the student-student relationship, student-staff relationship, institution identification. Identity. All of you here are here today because you want reward and recognition and identity. We all suffer from identity crisis. That is the main thing. If all of us were awarded in different places, in our own areas, in our own places, today we wouldn't be here. We are here because we want identity. We want reward. We want recognition for our work. That is it. So when the students start feeling that there is no identity created between the student and the rest of the other students, or with the faculty, or with the institution management, so for that matter, the student starts disliking the school or the college. The same thing goes with the house also. At home front also, if the student finds that the mother is not able to understand, father is not able to understand, it is not that father dislikes or mother dislikes the child. It is that they are not able to see eye to eye. Student is not being recognized by the parents as something valuable. Their ideas as valuable. Parents start feeling like, my idea, my son should inculcate. Next. But somewhere, whether it is teacher or a parent for that matter, all of you are parents to some of the students who are studying in some other college, and your teachers to many other students who are here. All of us need to understand one thing, that children will, I'm quoting children, they will always have some kind of a fear. We need to give the eagle push. You know, when the eagle sits on that top precipice in the top on the hill, that small babies, want to learn to fly. The mother eagle has to give a push, knowing full well, if the wings don't open up, they will fall and die. But still, that eagle takes the courage. And we too need to take that courage. I have gone through a lot of things in my life where I have experimented and have come through royally. And many of you too would have. Those who have not, please take the courage to push, give that eagle push to the students so that they can do it. Next. At the same time, we need to be very careful. See, all this builds up in the value chain in totality. See, the thing is, the students tend to, they come to the second year, third year, then they say, oh, I'm not fit for, I want to change the course. Or I want to do that, I want to do, they can't make a decision. They tend to keep the foot on two sides, on two different boats. It's like keeping the foot on two different boats. Navigation directions are different, the student will collapse. Direction, focus, vision is what the student needs. Next. Okay. Education supply chain. Now when you look at the education supply chain, you are having tiny tots from the preschool education, K-12, college, then you have graduate, lifelong learners. Lifelong learners are the ones who are into research and postdoc and all those things. They may want to go for postdoc or not, but they'll be eternal researchers. But the other side of it, the other resources needed for the education, natural resource, financial resource, physical resource, and so on, the other resource. And that can be unending depending on what the institute wants to provide and what the parents want to provide. And the intellectual resources needed for the education supply chain, books, journals, library, databases, digital archives, academic programs, other intellectual resources. There is unending, and there's nothing like saying that, okay, here is a stop. Physical resources that we give certainly has lot of cost impact. But when we are trying to give intellectual resources, and today the government has made so much of provision that almost nobody need to even buy the books. Digital libraries, which are, all top universities across the world have it. And you can become members and you can get those resources. Okay. Now sample internal supply chain for educational institute. There you can see what the students need to do. The top part of it, all the professors, what they have to do, and what the student career counseling and academic departments, administration need to do, we already know. But what student need to do? Student design and development, student sourcing and selection. Now let me tell you, you prepare a timetable for the student to progress. Forget the class timetable, I'm talking of regular development timetable. How he has to study. That will not help him. He needs to figure out what he can study with what, that he can understand better. Okay, and then student academic training, lecturing, all those things, as you can see, these are some of the things that are already done by the colleges, but what needs to be done is preparation of their own timetables. Now you see that in this value chain, now everything culminates into the value chain, where you see that there is a supply side, and then you have an institution side and the customer side. At the customer side, there are three set of people. There's one is student, another is the alumni of the college, and the community at large. Institution side, you have facilities, then the admin, then you have faculty, then the researchers. And when you talk of suppliers, you have product service providers, corporations, and the government, and large number of suppliers we have. Next. Okay. Now let's go to the value proposition. In the value proposition, what is it that we need to do? Value communication, value creation, value delivery, value capture. What does it figure? Value creation. With whom? Key partnership. Value creation has to do with whom? That question you have to ask. Then you have to ask how? Key resources and processes. Because they are the only two things that are required for creation. Then delivery. To whom you have to deliver? Segments and their relationship. Then how to distribute? Distribution channel. Then comes the value capture. How? Revenue streams. And how? Cost structure. That is where the actually tangible cost comes in. Until there it is all intangible. Then value communication, you have what? There you are talking about story for communicating the value. You build a house and then you want to sell it. Then you have to tell the qualities of the house, not just the cost part of it. Your institution, you have to tell the qualities of your institution. And then how channels for the communication. Various channels you have to identify for communicating. So this is the links in the value and the supply chain. They have to be clubbed together at the downstream, at the K-12, and also at the research end. Next. So Porter's model that talks about the value chain is inbound logistics operations, outbound logistic marketing and sales and services. Since we are running out of time, if I explain all this, it will take another 10 minutes. So what since it is available to you online, you can go through that, and whatever we have previously discussed, most of it is already here. Next. Then you have factors influencing the learning practices, environment, psychology, cognitive skills. Then you have effectiveness and the school. Then here you have the process model, and then you have the selection institution type. In the institution type, you don't select in terms of, okay, just the cost part of it, okay, what is the fees? Okay, join the college. That is not the way it is done. Institutional context, departmental context, teacher academic context, then the student academic, all the four interlink has to be there. So that's why, like, this is my suggestion to all of you. Whoever wants to take admission to your school, just don't go in and try to give the admission right on the phone. Tell them to visit your school, talk to all of them, make themselves feel very comfortable with you, and then give. Then I'm sure your journey with them will be fantastic. Next. And here is a lot of things needs to be covered under the value chain, which I have not done because of the want of time. If anybody is interested to know more details on this, please get in touch with me. On the first page of this presentation, my phone number, everything is available. And Madam was to talk about entrepreneurship. She would have talked about everything that is put up here. Preneur has got a lot of other things. Some are on the field, some are through the forums, Google, blogs and forums, and through that Toyota. So many ways people are becoming entrepreneurs. So all that detail will also be made available to you. Just put it on the net. So it will be made available. You can just go through. And this is what it is: vision, research, brainstorming, strategies, and goals. And dreams needs to be realized into it. Next. Thank you. I'm sorry I could not elaborate and tell everything in detail because of she is just standing here, giving me indicating to finish.